Welcome, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the question and answer session, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Philip Olaya. Sir, you may begin.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Phil Olaya, and I'm Policy Advisor for the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the initiative and the Conference on Asian Pacific American Leadership, or CAPAL, to our webinar, Hiring Practices and Internships at STEM Agencies. Next slide. By way of introduction, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our panelists. We have Rachel Dorman from the Office of Personnel Management, Esteban Morales and Phuc Nguyen from NASA, Amanda Quinones from the Department of Energy, and Dr. Sharon L. Milgram from the National Institutes of Health. Heidi Hong is our co-host from CAPAL. The purpose of this webinar is to provide information about the eligibility requirements for hiring and internship programs at NASA, Department of Energy, and NIH, and the steps students can take to submit a competitive application. The Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, will also provide you with information about the many opportunities for recent graduates and young professionals to serve in the federal government. Our panelists will discuss the new Pathways programs, current entry-level opportunities, and potential career paths. The webinar will last 1.5 hours. Each of our panelists will provide their remarks, and at the end, we will open up the call for question and answer period. You can also ask questions using the chat box throughout our webinar. During Q&A, we'll also provide a brief survey that you can complete before we wrap up today or submit upon further reflection. Please note that the audio for this webinar is being recorded. When we finish, we'll send a link in the chat box to this brief survey, and please take about 5 minutes to complete the survey. Next slide. So before we get started, I'd like to provide some information about the White House Initiative on AAPIs for those of you who are connecting with us for the first time. The initiative works collaboratively with a number of federal agencies to improve the health, education, and economic status of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The initiative focuses on several priority areas, including federal workforce diversity. AAPIs are the fastest growing racial group over the past 10 years, growing almost 50%, more than 4 times as fast as the total U.S. population. The administration is committed to ensuring that the federal workforce mirrors the rapid growth of the AAPI community, and the initiative is working to strengthen the pipeline for AAPIs to enter and advance up the ranks of the federal government through an executive development program and increased outreach to AAPI students in schools with high AAPI populations. To learn more about the initiative's work in this and in other areas, please visit our website, whitehouse.gov/AAPI. I'll now turn things over to Heidi, who will discuss CAPAL's work.
Thank you, Phil. CAPAL stands for the Conference on Asian Pacific American Leadership. We are a 501c3 educational nonprofit that is dedicated to developing the pipeline of Asian Pacific American leadership in public service. Currently, we have over 3,000 professionals and students in our network. As of 2013, we have awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. Next slide. We have several programs that we operate throughout the year targeting young professionals and students in the Washington, D.C. area who identify as Asian Pacific American. We have our Washington Leadership Program, which is a 7-week policy and leadership development program that is hosted on the Hill on Wednesday evenings during the summer. In the past, our Washington Leadership Program has featured topics ranging from domestic violence in the AAPI community, environmental policy, and immigration policy. We also have a scholarships and internships program where we partner with federal agencies to place interns in mission-critical positions in the government. We also partner with corporations and individuals to provide stipends for unpaid service internships in nonprofits and government agencies in the Washington, D.C. area. Finally, we have professional development programs including networking events, career fairs, leadership development events, the AAPI Leaders Roundtable, and numerous community service opportunities throughout the year. Next slide. In order to apply for COPAL scholarships and internships, applicants are encouraged to submit a resume, transcript, 2 letters of recommendation, a personal statement, and a statement of financial need for scholars. In order to learn about COPAL's work in these programs and to apply to our scholarships and internships, please visit our website at www.copal.org and contact applications@copal.org. Next slide. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Dorman and I come to you from the Office of Personnel Management, known as OPM, and thanks to the White House Initiative on AAPI for including us in today's webinar. I'm going to speak to you a little bit about our office as well as give you an overall introduction to the Pathways programs. This will be a really good foundation for the other speakers who will go after me, as well as helping you find and seek jobs with public service. So just a little bit about the Office of Personnel Management. Our mission is to recruit, retain, and honor a world-class American workforce. So we like to say we touch federal employees' lives from the beginning of their career to the end of their career. We process health care for all federal employees. That's been in the news a lot lately. We also do background checks for federal employees. If you retire from the federal government, you'll receive your retirement check for us, and we also manage all the recruiting policy for human resources to bring federal employees or applicants into the federal government. And that's where I work. I work in our Student Programs Office, which has been around for about 3 years now, pretty new office, looking at how to advise applicants who are interested in working for the government, but as well as working with agencies. And something we've been working on for the last several years is implementation of the Pathways programs for students and recent graduates. Those programs you'll see on this slide are streamlined programs for students and recent graduates to get started in the federal workforce. And most agencies, most federal agencies, are using this as a way to recruit, hire, develop, and retain these individuals. So it's really important for us that it's not a way just to hire people and fill slots, but to provide meaningful work experience and long-term federal careers for students and recent graduates. Next slide. A little history about how the Pathways programs were created. Started with an executive order signed by President Obama in December of 2010, and that established a framework with 3 clear program paths. The idea is there might not be one size that fits all for all students and recent graduates, and so we wanted to create 3 separate paths that anyone could access, maybe one or multiple of them. The first is an internship program, the second is a recent graduates program, and the third is a Presidential Management Fellows Program, and I'll go through each of those quickly in the next few slides. The executive order charged OPM with writing regulations, and so we published those regulations in May, actually, of last year in 2012, and they've been effective since July 10th of 2012. So a little over a year they've been effective, although for the last, from July through the end of that calendar year, till 2013, we were going through a pretty major transition period that looked at all the current students and who were on board and how to move them over to the new program. Next slide. So just some basics about all 3 programs, and then if you have specific questions, happy to answer those either in the chat box during the session or at the Q&A. But the idea for the internship program is if you're currently a student and you want to work, you'll be called an intern. A lot of students told us that some of our former programs had a lot of confusing names and it didn't make sense to them. So we've streamlined it to say if you're currently in school and you want to work, you would be an intern. And in order to be eligible, you need to be a current student enrolled or accepted for enrollment. So if you have your acceptance letter, it has to be a qualifying educational institution, and this goes all the way from high school to professional level degrees. And these positions are paid, which I think is really important. Move to the next slide, please. The Recent Graduates Program is for individuals who've recently finished their degree from a qualifying educational institution. And this program is brand new. It has never existed before. So some folks say, well, is this a replacement of an older program? That's not true. It's a brand new program, and the idea is for individuals who maybe couldn't work part-time or during the summers while they were in school to consider applying for this program. It's a one-year career development program that comes with mentoring and training and development. Some agencies can identify a two-year program for specific occupations that requires approval from OPM. So for the majority of programs, it is a one-year career development program. Next slide. To be eligible to apply for the Recent Graduate Program, you would have needed to complete your qualifying educational program within 2 years of applying. So we get that question a lot. How long do I have to be in working within those 2 years? No. You have to submit your application within those 2 years. And so all the degrees that are allowed are eligible under Recent Grads are vocational technical certificates, undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and professional degrees. Next slide. There are two exceptions to that 2-year time limit. Veterans is one exception. If you finish your degree, let's say in May of 2013, and then you went on to active duty for 3 years, when you come back, your 2-year clock would start after you come back. So as long as 6 years hasn't passed. So that's a flexibility we offer for veterans when you go into active duty. So as long as 6 years hasn't passed, you can use your 2-year window after you return from service. Also, individuals who completed their qualifying educational program after December 27, 2010, but before July 10th, 2012, their 2-year clock started on July 10th, 2012. So they have until July 10th, 2014. And if you'll notice, those dates are comparable to what I mentioned on an earlier slide about the executive order and the final rule. So from the time the President issued the executive order to the time we issued the final rule, we wanted to allow those individuals the 2 full years to be able to apply for the Recent Graduates Program. Next slide. The Recent Graduate Program is administered at the agency level, which is similar to the Internship program. They're both administered at the agency level. And with the Recent Graduate Program, individuals receive a mentor, a career development plan. It's known in government called an individual development plan. So thinking about what you need to accomplish in that 1 year, and then at least 40 hours of interactive training. The positions may have a career ladder, which means an opportunity for promotion and advancement. And then after you finish the 1-year program, you may be non-competitively converted to a permanent or term position once all the program requirements are met. So it's a really great opportunity to look for a position after you've already completed your degree. And I'm going to tell you how you can seek those in a few minutes. I just want to go over the third program next. Next slide. So the third part of the 3 pathways programs is the Presidential Management Fellows Program. This is the federal government's premier leadership development program for advanced degree candidates. It's been around for 30 years. However, we revamped it under Pathways to put it aligned with the other 3 programs and update it based on feedback we got from agencies as well as applicants. Next slide. In order to be eligible for this program, you would have had to recently graduated from your educational institution or expect to complete your degree requirements by August 31st of the following year. This is for advanced degrees only, so master's, law degree, PhD, MD are eligible to apply. And it's a 2-year leadership development program. So the idea is we're trying to train the individuals who will be the part of our next senior executive service. It comes with lots of other additional training and development, which I'll talk about on the next few slides. Next slide. This program is centrally administered by OPM. It no longer requires agency candidates to be nominated by their schools. If you have friends who've maybe applied in the past, maybe you heard about that piece. And we accept applications once a year via announcement on USAJOBS. So the exciting thing is that we're actually getting ready to announce the PMF application next week. So this is perfect timing for your presentation. If you think you may be eligible, which means you're in your final year of graduate school, or you've completed your degree in the last 2 years, the application period will be October 1st through October 15th this year. And you can go to pmf.gov for a lot more details in terms of how the application process works and what the timeline is. And again, I can answer more questions if you have specifics about that. Next slide. So once you go through the application process, which again starts on October 1st, last year we had about 9,000 applicants for about 600 slots. You have an opportunity to obtain a 2-year appointment as a PMF fellow. So fellows receive, again, a mentor, a developmental plan, and at least 80 hours of training per year. So that's different from the recent graduates program where it's 40 hours of training. The PMF program has 80 hours of training. And after successful completion of all the program requirements, you can be non-competitively converted into a permanent job or a term appointment. Next slide. So this is important because I think people mostly want to know, well, where can I find these positions? The PMF program, you'll want to go to pmf.gov to find out more details on how to apply. We have a listserv where you can sign up to get an email when the application is announced. But for internship and recent grad positions, USAJOBS is now the place to go. This is a new change to the program where we do require agencies to post every single available position. You can go to usajobs.gov/students and grads. There'll be a link to it in the next couple of slides, and actually search for all the available positions that are out there. So for every position that you're interested in, you'll want to submit an application. It's not a centralized program in that where you submit one overall application. For the internship and recent grad, you want to keep applying to each job. But once you set up an account and even a saved search that allows you to send email notifications when jobs are posted, it gets a lot easier. Next slide. And just for the sake of time, some summary tips when you're thinking about applying for these jobs. You want to plan ahead and allow plenty of time to complete your application and develop a strategy for applying. So it's not about, again, the volume, the quantity of jobs you apply for. It's about the quality. And probably, finally, the number one piece of advice I hear from current employees or students who've received internships is that they've tailored their resume and application for each announcement that they apply for. Excuse me. So it's not about necessarily rewriting your resume for each position, but possibly highlighting your skills and experience that are tailored to the job announcement. So that does mean maybe reworking it or changing a word here and there, but it doesn't mean necessarily rewriting your resume each time. I have heard the most success when it comes to people finding a job by tailoring their resume for each position. And just a note about federal resumes. People ask us a lot about, the page length. There is no page length. We have a lot of resources on USAJOBS on how to create a federal resume. You can either use the USAJOBS Resume Builder or upload a document in any format you want, either Word or a PDF file. And so it's not about length, it's about using the space to show what you've accomplished and what your experience is. And that includes things that you've done in work as well as school or volunteering or in your community. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, here's my contact information. You can send us emails to pathways@opm.gov if you have questions about the internship or recent grad program, or if you have specific questions about PMF, you can email us at pmf@opm.gov. Next slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Sure.
We're now going to be joined by NASA. Esteban Morales is Recruitment and Outreach Manager with NASA, and Phuc Nguyen will speak as well, and he's Electronics Engineer with NASA. I believe Esteban is speaking first.
Yes. Well, let me just begin by thanking the White House Initiative and Kapal for hosting us. Thank you very much for all the participants in participating today. Good afternoon. My name is Esteban Morales, and I'm the Recruitment and Outreach Manager for NASA, for National Aeronautics Space Administration, specifically Goddard Space Flight Center located in Greenbelt, Maryland. I will also be joined by my colleague Phuc Nguyen, a NASA Goddard Electronics Engineer and a co-chair of Goddard's Asian Pacific American Advisory Committee. NASA's mission is to drive advances in science, technology, and exploration in enhancing knowledge, education, innovation, economic vitality, and stewardship of the Earth. Although there is an assumption that NASA's mission may have ended due to the expiration of our shuttle program, our mission is still living very strong. We're currently working on projects that are making impacts in aerospace technology, biological and physical research, earth science, space science, human exploration, and development of space. Next slide. NASA at a glance employs just under 18,000 civil servants across 9 field centers and 1 contractor-operated laboratory. Our current strategic goals are to continue robotic exploration of Mars and the solar system with robotic and crewed missions, develop the Orion spacecraft and other technologies required to send people beyond low Earth's orbit, conduct an unprecedented array of science missions that will seek new knowledge and understanding of the Earth, the solar system, and the universe, and the work toward a goal of landing humans on Mars. Specifically, at Goddard Space Flight Center, which is the largest combined organization of scientists and engineers in the United States, employs just over 10,000 federal and contractor employees. Our center is specifically responsible for transforming the human understanding of Earth and space through innovation, exploration, and discovery. Next slide. This map shows where all of our NASA centers are located. Goddard is specifically made up of 5 different facilities with employees located 5 different locations. Goddard employees are located at Goddard's main campus located in Greenbelt, Maryland, Wallops Flight Facility located in Wallops Island, Virginia, our Independent Verification and Validation Facility located in Fairmont, West Virginia, our Goddard Institute of Space Studies located in New York, New York, and we have our ground stations located in White Sands, New Mexico. Next slide. As shown, these are the type of skills that are highly sought after within our workforce. We are currently seeking individuals with backgrounds in information technology, science and math, business and engineering, and we are also seeking individuals in non-technical fields as noted. Next slide. Once you join NASA and Goddard Space Flight Center, you'll be eligible to receive competitive leave, health benefits, and retirement through our government's thrift savings plan. Next slide. These are just a few facts about our current work environment. NASA was recognized as the best place to work within the government in 2012 by the Partnership for Public Service. We have been ranked within the top 5 best places to work for the past 5 years. We have a campus-like atmosphere recognizing employees for their contributions to NASA and Goddard's missions. We offer flexible work schedules that allows employees opportunities to telework, or as we call it, work from anywhere. Finally, we also offer family-friendly leave and medical leave programs. Next slide. Once you are employed at NASA and at Goddard, you'll have the opportunity in participating in many different leadership and educational opportunities such as the ones listed here. Next slide. As my colleague from OPM spoke about the Government Student Pathways Program, NASA and Goddard predominantly seeks qualified applicants for its Pathways Intern Program. A small number of recent graduates, and beginning soon, NASA will be participating in a pilot STEM Presidential Management Fellows Program. Next slide. For more information regarding our Student Pathways Program here at NASA and at Goddard, you may find information at the following links or specifically on our Goddard recruitment website. Next slide. I will now transition to my colleague, NASA Goddard Electronics Engineer and co-chair of Goddard Asian Pacific American Advisory Committee, Phuc Nguyen, who will speak on a few of our Office of Education programs.
Thank you, Esteban. Next slide. In addition to the Pathway program, NASA also has Office of Education Internship programs. Educational interns refer to an individual who will be on center 6 to 10 weeks 6 weeks for high school students and 10 weeks for college students. Educational interns are not government employees, yes, are all paid. The internship stipend amounts are varied per the level of studies. An intern is a student or a recent graduate undergoing supervised practical training. The application for the summer 2014 will be accepted from November 1st, 2013 to March 15, 2014. On the average, NASA Goddard Space Flight Center has about 450 interns each year. All interested students can apply at One Stop Shopping Initiative. The website is listed on the bottom of the page. Next slide. Students can also apply for the fellowship opportunities through the OSCE or Office of Educational Program directly from NASA website. Fellowship opportunities are considered to be a year-long. Conduct research at your school for the majority of time. Participate in 10-week center-based research experience at the center or headquarters. NASA Office of Education provides funding for the minority university research and educational program to increase the participation of minority serving institutions in NASA research and development and to increase the number of minority students pursuing higher education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Below is a list of criteria for minority university research and educational in fellowship program. Next slide. This and the next slide give the snapshot of the different fellowship program from the Office of Educational Program. First, we have the NASA Earth and Space Science Fellowship. The award is up to $30,000 per year and funded by Headquarters Science Mission Directorate. Second, we have the NASA Space Technology Research Fellowship, funded by NASA Office of Chief Technology. The program is focused on space technology and the maximum amount of award is $66,000 per year. Next slide. The National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program is the national network of colleges and universities. These institutions are working to expand the opportunities for Americans to understand and participate in NASA's aeronautics and space project by supporting enhancing science and engineering education, research, and public outreach efforts. Space Grant National Network includes over 850 affiliates from universities, colleges. These affiliates belong to one of the 52 consortia and 50 states. The 52 consortia funds fellowship and scholarship for students pursuing career in STEM. Next slide. At NASA, we also have the Postdoctoral Opportunities. These opportunities are sponsored by Science Mission Directorate at headquarters. The following bullets provide the postdoctoral programs and their links. Students who are interested should visit their website and learn more about the opportunity and the deadline. Next slide. This slide is an attempt to give a snapshot of what we do at Goddard traditionally in the past, present, and the future. From the lower left, we have the Hubble Space Telescope that was launched in 1990 and is still in operational. Hubble is a telescope that orbits Earth. Its gaze has helped determine the age of the universe, identify the quasar, the existence of dark energy, a mysterious force that caused the expansion of the universe to accelerate. It was a pretty big telescope. The size was about 11,110 kilograms. On the lower right corner, we have the James Webb Space Telescope. The Webb is Hubble's successor. JWST will source through Bridges void peering back to time when the new star and the development galaxies first began to illuminate the universe. It's scanning the universe for invisible radiations called infrared. The size of the telescope is about 6,200 kilograms. It is as big as the tennis court, and it's scheduled to launch in 2018. I got the opportunity to work on that the first 4 years when I joined Goddard, and it was very interesting. On the upper left, we have the robotic serving spacecraft. The objective is to study the conceptual mission that would be deduct a robotic servant vehicle with the capability to access, repair, refuel the satellites in geosynchronous Earth orbit.